Welcome to the NBA Coast to Coast podcast brought to you by lineups.com. Nate and Josh here. Wednesday. We got Wednesday slate, 6 games on the docket here. We're going to be taking a look at best bets. Also got some sides and totals with the play of props in there. So make sure you are subscribed to that channel. We're going to be coming back to you each and every weekday this season. Little slate here. Got a pretty good game. I'd say this is the game of the night that we're starting with here, Nate, with the Celtics and the Hornets. Your first look here at 6.5 for the visiting Hornets as the dogs.
Yeah, I mean, because everything would imply this is going to be tight, like very slow pace in terms of these two teams. A total that's been bet down to 212. Hard to really back the over the way they've been playing defense. I would still kind of lean that way because I think both these teams can shoot the lights out. It's just going to be about 3-point variance in terms of how high scoring it is. But in terms of the Hornets, like they don't let go easily. Like they've lost to some of these Eastern Conference big boys, but they've all been very close down the stretch. They've covered this number in 20 straight games. They're 66% ATS on the road this year, even counting the slow start. And they're the best team in the league on back-to-backs in terms of 10-2 ATS, covering by 12 a game. Boston is not a back-to-back, but it is 3rd and 4 nights. I mean, with Boston, it's just kind of interesting to think about. Once we get into playoff basketball, everybody talks about how like Detroit plays so hard and that's their edge. And they're just outworking teams in the regular season. Like, why are we not talking about that with this Boston team? Like they are not super talented, right? They're just outworking you. They're on their P's and Q's every single night, come with that ferocity. I mean, so are the Charlotte Hornets, especially when they get this step up in class against like the Cavs or the Pistons. We've seen them bring it because of what they want to prove. And obviously we know some of the numbers. I mean, they're the number 2 catch and shoot team in the last 15, along with being the number 2 offense. And that's huge against Boston because they will dare guys to hit threes. They will sag in. But on the other end, I mean, the Hornets are top 5 3-point defense and on top of being excellent guarding the rim. So I think they can hang defensively, and then we'll see who hits more threes in terms of who actually pulls this game out.
Yeah, who hits more threes? I think that's fair. I mean, the Hornets have definitely upped their offensive game in general, but man, I'm so terrified of anybody playing the Celtics and trying to go over too consistently. All the props for Hornets players, even for the Celtics, down a bit. There's not a lot to like in terms of points when you just think of how methodical and slow, to a degree choppy, Jaylen Brown mid-range at the end of the shot clock. Like it's all coming here for this game. So I totally agree, but I think it's gonna be a good one either way. And that does lead me to go 7 points is a bit much, but I gotta go against my boys. I almost said take my boys, but I'm not. I'm going against the Knicks here. They're at home, so that's the saving grace if you were to sort of take the opposite of what I'm talking about here. But with everybody back, they saved everybody for this game in a way, right? They saved SGA for this one. I believe iHeart is likely to play in this one too. Like he's sort of spot player now at this point, man, and like, just don't trust the Knicks. It's really what it comes down to. I just don't trust the Knicks. At home would be where I would trust them. That sort of evened out a little bit to where it was like they were, polar opposites when they were on the road and at home before the All-Star break, and even a few weeks before the All-Star break. And then leading up to the break and then afterwards, it's been just sort of like there's no rhyme or reason to when things are going to go well. But I mean, when you just look at the points that are the way that they're being spread around by the Knicks, I don't know where to go. You could say that's a good thing, but it's really, it's like one night it's Jalen Brunson going completely off. And then the next night, what do we got? We don't have much. And in the games where he scored fewer than 27 points, this team is like 6 games under 500. It's just tough for them to win because it's not coming from anywhere else. For OKC, when they've had SGA out there, even without AJ Mitchell and J-Dub, we've seen plenty of other guys step up. That's why they're still have a net rating that's +7 in those minutes without those guys over the course of the last roughly like 200 minutes or so, which is nothing to like write home about. But I mean, it's perfectly fine because the stuff, even with SGA off court now, has gotten a lot better for this team too, as they've had to learn how to play with him. Their offensive rating was down at like 111 when they didn't have J-Dub or SGA on the floor, back up to about 117 since the All-Star break. So a lot of stuff that's just sort of shown like, I'm not saying that Mark Daigneault was like, hey, nobody good play for a while so we can get all our backups accustomed to things, but it's a byproduct of what happened with so many guys missing. And even guys like Jalen Williams, you trust to come in and help out with the front court of the Knicks now. So I just don't trust this Knicks squad. I'll take a small spread for the best team in the league.
Yeah, and guys like Microwave McCain, who you did not mention.
Didn't even
Yeah, I
mention
mean,
him.
who obviously gets the opportunity. He was brought in to do this, to
Yeah,
just keep the pedal down. So you just have good scoring at all times for OKC when you have SGA setting
right.
the tone. With the Knicks, yeah, it's just like it's an alt spread situation, right? It's like if they win this game, they'll probably win it by like 15 and just like suddenly look like the best team in the league.
Yeah.
But yeah, more than likely OKC handles business. So the reason not to back Memphis here is this man in the middle against a team that we again talk about how they're starting 6'7" Omax Prosper at center, and I mean that worked against like Dallas and Indy. It's probably not going to work here. Clingan, in fact, we saw this matchup twice in a row just a month ago. Clingan averaged 18 rebounds per game, 25 and a half chances. 7.5 of those rebounds were contested. Still had no problem grabbing them. He had one with Avdia, one with Time Lord in there, and Avdia might miss this game. And on the season, he averages 1.3 more points and 3.3 more rebounds without Denny Avdia. So is kind of the big double here. If you just look at couple extra rebounds to get you into plus money along with Portland to win. I don't have a problem with like 12 and 12 or however you want to juke these numbers, because you look at not only against Memphis, but the last 5 against tankers, against teams that are not in the playoff picture at the moment. Clingan is averaging 18 and 18, 18.2, in fact. Every double-double has had 12 and 12, at least. So, I mean, teams that are they know how they can be vulnerable against Portland is to just trot out an undersized center. Memphis, again, doesn't really have a center. They scratched Santi Aldama last night. And so now on a back-to-back, and in their last 10, I mean, they're allowing 18 rebounds per game to centers. That's the most in the league, and 19 second chance points in general. It's just going to be easy cleanups for Don Clingan here.
It's crazy, man. Memphis is the biggest travesty. They're the biggest stain on the league right now. The way that they're tanking, and like they haven't even been fined as much as the Jazz have. Get out of here. Yeah, Clingan. What did he have? 20. He had 17, 18 in back-to-backs against him, like you're saying, on the boards.
Yeah.
13 and a half on the core line for the rebounds. That's how ridiculous Memphis has gotten in terms of no presence down low. Speaking of no presence down low, Benny Matz is going up against Indy. But even if Indy wasn't awful at limiting everything down low, Benny Matz is going up against Indy. So that's kind of the look here. Like, this is revenge spot. I do stay away from certain guys in terms of quote unquote revenge spots where it's like, I don't know if I can bank on what fire has this guy shown. If anybody has a reason to be upset, like Benny Matz never got his in Indy. And you can say that that's, equally on him, equally on the coach. I'm not going to say that like Rick Carlisle is fully to blame for how things ended in Indy for Benny Matz, but he was clearly not a part of the future like before last season. And it was partly because he got hurt and other guys stepped up. And that's unfortunate, but he's pissed. If you've watched him play a second of basketball, his body language, his facial expressions are all F you to everybody, man. I love watching this dude play for that reason. That just screams like, I'm going to give y'all some. Here's 30 for you and maybe a double-double as well to boot, because I'm about to go crazy with it. And that's all I got. Now, I will say there's some data since he's gone to LA that would go, yeah, like he is getting the usage, right? In those first like handful of games, he was up at an expected usage where his projections were at like 26 and a half points, and he was getting lined at like 14 and a half, and then it went up to 16 and a half. Now it's at 19 and a half, and I'm just taking his core line alongside the money line for the Clips. But like, if ever you needed to lose for Indy, it was to the team that you want to make sure you lose to, where you traded, Zoo to them, or you got Zoo from them, traded Benny Matz, and now you're in a spot where you have to finish in the top 4 in the lottery so that you can keep your pick, right? We've talked about this. This is a perfect spot for them to lose. So I'm not worried about the money line, and everything for Benny Matz and how he plays is he's going to get to the bucket, and there's going to be no resistance once he gets there.
Yeah, I think he's definitely not happy with Rick Carlisle. It's basically like if Kuminga played the Warriors, right? But the Warriors were actively trying to lose and would not throw out any good defenders out there. So
yeah,
it's a good spot here. Yeah, I wish I had thought of that revenge, but did have a look here from this game that I'll just throw out because there's no lineup yet for the young man, Yanic Niederhauser. Goddamn tongue twister right there. But John Collins is out. This is the 3rd and 4 nights for the Clippers. So how much is Brook Lopez going to play? And some of the rebound data has just been like leaned towards Brolo being this like good contested rebounder. We know that's not the case in his career, but YKD here still has the most rebound chances in the last 4. He's been cruising past his line. So the highest we've seen his line is 12 and a half. And if he gets up to 14 and a half, I think it's still playable. And a little bit of like just some of this narrative stuff. Like you want to showcase the Zubac replacement. If you're the Clips, right? Is like, this is the guy who's the future. It's not Brolo. Indy's obviously just abysmal everywhere down low. 65 paint points since the All-Star break is 8 more than anybody else in the league. So that just supports your Benny Mats play. But from Yanic to Giannis, let's take 10.5 rebounds. Yeah, you like that segue?
Nice.
At plus money, Giannis is probably 25 to 30 minutes here. I mean, we saw him play 16 in the first half, right, before they got blown out against the Celtics. Last time he returned from the injuries, he played 25, then 25 again, and then only up to 28, but he still went for 33 and 15 against a vulnerable defense, the Wiz. I don't think there's as much time to like wait around here in terms of working him back. Like if they are really going for the play-in, this is a huge game for it, right? As Atlanta is the most vulnerable team to pluck out of there. 3 games back, I believe. So Giannis is certainly ultra competitive, going to be lobbying to play at least like 28 to 32 minutes. Like get me out there. And he's going to be grabbing boards, which we saw against Boston, despite the fact that Boston plays so slow and barely missed against his Milwaukee team. Playing alongside Miles Turner, a guy who just defers to guys to grab the rebound. Giannis being kind of a point guard for this team. I think the whole team is going to funnel rebound chances to him. He did have 17 on 21 chances the last matchup against Atlanta. And for what it's worth, 14.2 a game. His last 5 matchups against Jalen Johnson. That's not on huge minutes either. It's 33 minutes a game. So if we get anywhere close to that, I like it in this matchup against Atlanta, which has been pretty vulnerable down low with Okongwu manning the 5.
Yeah, not much resistance. We're very like-minded here in some of these picks, because I definitely love Yanic and I love Giannis as well. I mean, I think like a double-double even at like minus 140, like you're never going to see that. I took the plus 240 or whatever it was on the double-double when he was ruled in, and then he was even in the starting lineup, and I was like, look, man, I'm principal. I ain't never going to see a plus 200 for Giannis to double-double just out of just for the sake of hilarity. In the last 3 seasons, he's played 176 games. He has double-doubles in 136 of those games for a 75.5% hit rate on that, going to the double-double there. So love Giannis and Yanic, like you were saying. And then I'm going over to his teammate as well. Like, I thought AJ Green would be the guy to benefit from Giannis being back last time, and there's still the likelihood that he could be. This is a much different matchup, I would say, than playing the Celtics, obviously. But like Ousmane Dieng played 30 minutes and was in the starting lineup there with Giannis in the last one, and it does seem like that Doc wants to pair them together, and that's really it. Is like if he's getting 30 minutes when he's played that many minutes on the season, he's averaging 14 points a game, and even if you give him roughly like 24 minutes as a floor for him, then you're still looking at about 12.5 points per game in 8 games that he's played that many minutes. So it's just an opportunity thing for him. Obviously, he was just buried on a bench that is bearing players better than him in OKC. Comes here and it's not the same rotation, and there's just nothing to play for Milwaukee. Like, I have this weird feel. Giannis came back. I'm sure Giannis wanted to come back. I also kind of feel like there was probably some pressure from somewhere to be like, if you're not playing Giannis anymore, then shut him down for the season or whatever it was. And so he comes back and is playing. And I think they like Dieng as part of the potential future, somebody that they're testing guys out with Giannis, and he looked really, really good playing alongside him in this last game. So I like him in an easier matchup here against Atlanta.
Yeah, and looked really good going into the All-Star break. It looked like he was going to take off for, whether if Giannis wasn't going to come back at all. Like, it looked like this guy was going to soak up a lot of usage, and Milwaukee was going to give him a long look here. But now, yeah, it seems like they're changing gears a little bit, and they're still going to give him burn. But I think Keyonte George will actually get the burn tonight. I mean, 21.5 points is a better price. You can pay up for 20.5, but I mean, it could be ladderable. Obviously, we just saw him go off against Denver. And I think that's part of the Jazz strategy is like, we know Denver needs a win. We know Denver is going to continue to score on us. Therefore, we can showcase Keyonte George as much as we want. We don't have to worry about winning the game because that's the biggest concern. And in sort of the reverse logic situation, tomorrow night is a back-to-back at Washington. Biggest tank off of the year, right? Utah at Washington. They got to rest everybody. So maybe they have to play Keyonte 30 plus minutes so that they can justify resting him tomorrow and not have an offense. And maybe they let him duel Tyrese Maxey tonight. Again, Philly, just like Denver, really, really needs a win, really needs to keep this thing going. And they've been very vulnerable against his player type, guys who can boogie with the basketball, shooting guards, giving up the most points and assists to shooting guards in their last 15, shutting down primary, prototypical point guards like Isaiah Collier, who'll be out there with him, and just getting kind of crushed on the interior without Embiid, mostly because Andre Drummond's out there, not your boy Bona. But yeah, the defensive rating has been really bad in every game without Embiid for the Sixers, and they've given up a lot to guards that can penetrate.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, there's not going to be too much resistance. I do think Adem Bona is going to be out there a bit, and I do want to bet on him on the PR just because I do think he's getting 20 plus minutes. I like the matchup. And if that's the situation for him, that he's actually up at about 14.5 PR per game without JoJo, playing 20 plus minutes, don't even really care about the matchup too much at that point. But what'll his matchup be? I guess a little bit of flip if he's out there against some of the starters, but if he's coming off the bench, is it Oscar Shibwe? I don't know. None of us really know. It's just going to be a combination of guys, and there's not much in the way of size coming off the bench for Utah either. So I don't need to disparage Utah much more to help for everyone to already know that like this is an easy matchup for guys, especially down low. Without Walker Kessler on the season, this is basically a bottom 7 defensive team, and without Nurkic, it's all the way at the very bottom. So, and no Kevin Love either. But this rotation it's just that simple. Like this dude, 20 to 26 minutes, 14.5 ER. It's his opportunities. If this does get out of hand because they're pissed about that shellacking that they took the other day in their last game without JoJo, then I think this is a good spot to take in the blowout for him too.
Yeah, Drummond lasted all 5 minutes in that blowout last night. So I mean, he's not going to be sat due to rest, but he might be sat due to ineffectiveness as they look to get a little better defensively. Yeah,
for sure. But that is all the time we have for you guys in this one. Careful with the slate. A few landmines. Got the back-to-backs. We need a couple injury reports for guys to come out. Santi Aldama was ruled out 3 minutes before tip, it felt like yesterday. So just keep an eye on all that stuff. But we'll be back with another one tomorrow for you guys. Until we see you then, happy betting.